Welcome to Greg Hansen's Video Notebook, brought to you by Sam Levitt's Furniture. I'm Star Sports Editor Ryan Finley, here with Greg Hansen. Greg, I got a question for you. What the heck is wrong with the Pac-12?
Kind of reminds me of 2010 and 2012 when Cal was a power. And the league's player of the years were Jerome Randall and Jorge Gutierrez.
Yeah, Jorge Gutierrez was okay.
But he wasn't a player of the year level, was he?
Killed Arizona, but that doesn't matter, yeah.
Luckily this year there are two good teams.
Yep.
And then 8 teams that aren't very good. Maybe Stanford's okay, but disappointing.
Really disappointing, especially when you look at the level of talent, Greg, around the league. You know, to me, UCLA has better players than almost everybody in the league except for Arizona, and they just got rolled at Oregon. Oregon plays a style that should translate really well in the league, and yet they are as inconsistent as anybody. Then you look at little Oregon State with the same players and a new coach from a year ago. They've been the big surprise. Is it that Oregon State has figured out how to do something that nobody can figure out, or is it that the league is bad and that Oregon State is proving that the league is bad?
Oregon State has proved that the league is bad, and what they do is minimize their mistakes.
Right.
They don't three-putt.
Right.
Everybody else in the league is all over the yard, out of bounds, three-putting.
Right.
The Beavers play it smart.
Yep. UCLA drives big off the tees, even if that ball ends up in the desert.
Right. They're Bubba Watson.
They're
in the lake.
Yeah,
They're
John Daly.
Even better.
Steve Alford is nervously smoking cigarettes as he walks down the fairway, like John Daly.
But do you like the trend? I mean, Oregon State is so thoroughly boring that suddenly that they're a factor in the league. You got to, now people are going to copy their style.
Well, we talk about sort of what that reminds you of. These Oregon State teams, for better and worse, remind me so much of what Tony Bennett and Dick Bennett did at Washington State. In a way, because they know that they won't have sort of the all-world talent. They beat you with sort of gadget plays and gimmicky offenses and defenses, and it works. And especially in college basketball now, where every good player is a freshman or sophomore, it's hard to play against a zone defense because nobody's ever seen it.
Tony Bennett is the #1 trendsetter in college basketball right now, except for John Calipari. Nobody can copy that trend. But Tony Bennett, can you imagine how many people he's going to influence to coach the same way?
Right. Now that Virginia is, what, #2 or #3 in the country. And for my money, a dark horse candidate, well, maybe not even a dark horse candidate, to win the whole thing, in part because they do something a little bit different. And as long as we're mixing our sports metaphors, this is Urban Meyer running single wing with Tim Tebow at Florida. It's something that's so old it's new again. It's crazy.
And you know the difference? It's such a minute difference. If you look at KenPom.com, he's got all the numbers. Arizona averages 16 seconds per possession until they shoot. Virginia is 20 seconds. 4 seconds makes all that difference.
Right. And there's, what, 50 or 60 possessions in a game?
4 seconds average per possession. And that's changing. Oregon State is in there too.
If you were named head coach of, and I'm just going to pull a team out of nowhere, USC tomorrow, what would you do as a coach to make your team unique, different, and successful in the Pac-12?
I would do up and down.
What Andy Enfield's doing at USC?
I would do that. And he should be able to get players sooner or later if they stick with him. I would be Paul Westhead at Loyola Marymount. But you know, that's 20 years ago. But it worked for him then, and almost nobody ever copied it.
To me, the thing that's lost here, Greg, and we'll finish here, is, to me, the thing that made Pac-12 basketball so appealing outside of just the cities where they play Pac-12 basketball forever was style of play. Was under Lute Olson, they rolled the ball out and ran up and down, pressed, trapped the whole 9 yards. UCLA under Steve Lavin, and before that, under Jim Herrick, same idea. They had all the best players, and they showed you by running up and down the floor. The fact that so few teams run anymore, outside of Oregon, really, they're the only runners in Washington, is that a byproduct of the talent being more evenly spread out, or is it coaches wanting more control?
Coaches wanting more control.
Really?
Look at Utah. Do this quickly. They have the second best material in the league. They've got athletic players. Their big guys can run, and yet they're a slow-paced team.
Yep, and they have maybe the Pac-12 player of the year.
Because Chris Stoyak wants all the control.
Right. And you look at Arizona, it's the same thing. They could press, they could trap, they could turn it into a dunk contest, but Sean Miller, the way Sean Miller has always won is by controlling the clock, playing good defense, that kind of stuff.
4 seconds.
4 seconds.
It's the difference between fast and slow.
That's crazy. Well, 4 seconds per possession all game, all year.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Well, that'll do it for this episode of Greg Hansen's Video Notebook, brought to you by Sam Levitt's Furniture. For Greg Hansen, I'm Ryan Finley. We'll see you next time.
For over 60 years, January has been clearance month at Sam Levitt's in Tucson.
And right now, today, Sam Levitt's has reduced over $15 million of home furnishings inventory for the biggest January clearance sale ever.
Don't miss blowout clearance items marked down 44 up to 77% off while they last.
Everything's marked down to make room for new arrivals. Plus, there's special no-interest financing for up to 72 months.
So get your new furniture or mattresses now with same or next day delivery.
But don't miss the biggest January clearance sale ever at Sam Levitt's.